Hi, everybody. Pull up a chair, grab a coffee, and get ready for the odd, the awesome, and the oh so local. This is the Jersey Oddcast with Joseph F. Berenato, Gabriel J. Donio, and me, Gina Rullo. Hey guys, we've had a really busy week.
We seem to have those.
Do I say that every week?
You do say that every week, and you're
Yep.
not wrong any week at all. Every single week, what's been going on? Everything.
This was a globally busy week for sure. We usually just focus on the local, but this was a globally busy week
Yeah,
and
So,
another
Joe,
odd week.
what dominated the headlines last week?
absolutely. It has to be the passing of the Holy Father, Pope Francis, who died on Easter Monday early in the morning after making an appearance and an address on Easter Sunday. His funeral mass was held, I believe, on Saturday, April 26th. And now the Vatican and the rest of the Catholic world is getting ready for conclave, where the College of Cardinals will choose the next pope. And it's anybody's guess as to which direction the Holy Spirit will guide them to pick the next Supreme Pontiff.
I really doubt it's going to be someone from North America. That's just my
Oh,
personal belief. I think we are way too young to have that at this point.
I'd agree with that. I know, I don't remember which of the Cardinals it was, but I think it was a Cardinal from North Jersey. Someone had mentioned that he was a possible contender. There are 120 possible contenders, so that's not inaccurate, but I don't think we're going to see an American Pope, one from the United States, at least in my lifetime, precisely for that reason. We're far too young as a country. I don't see it. But then again, nobody thought that we would see a South American Jesuit as Pope, and
Fair.
we had Francis. So,
I think that's the best point. Everything is off the table and everything is on the table.
yeah,
These guys are going to get in there, they're going to make a decision, and none of us really know at this point where that's going to fall. And I think if it passed this prologue with Francis, all bets are off.
yeah, especially when you consider that for centuries, all the popes were Italian until you had John Paul II, and then immediately following him was Pope Benedict, who was German, and then you had an Argentinian pope. So who knows? Maybe we'll see one. I don't know.
Never know. You never know.
We won't know
It's
until the white smoke comes out.
Yep.
fair enough. And that'll be happening in the coming week. So something to keep an eye out. I know our local Catholic Church parish, St. Mary Mount Carmel, has been praying for the repose of the Pope's soul and all that. And it's interesting because it ties into First Holy Communion and the May crowning, which is Sunday, May 4th, and then May 11th. Do you guys remember your communions, your First Holy Communions?
I
Mine was
do.
on May 11th. I know the date because it's also my cousin's birthday, and she
Oh,
was
there you go.
very salty about having to celebrate my communion and her birthday. And we're the same age, so I felt very badly.
I
I,
got a big sheet cake from Vets
Did you?
Bakery, and it had a little plastic boy kneeling in a little suit. And of course, I had my little suit, and I still have the
The
plastic,
suit?
the plastic kid. I don't have the suit, the little thing from the cake topper. But that was, I can remember it was white with blue, and we had a whole communion party and everything else. I also remember being in church, obviously, and the communion ceremony. How about you, Joe?
I remember my mother made one in the shape of the cross, and I know because I've got a picture of that somewhere. And I remember afterwards, I was very excited because I got to wear a three-piece pinstripe suit, which I later used to play James Cagney in Gangsters as I was growing up,
Of
which is
course.
funny because we also had white ties, as you'll recall, and my mother commented that we all looked like a bunch of little gangsters. I don't remember if my communion was May 12th or May 15th. I always get those dates conflated. One was communion, and then one was confirmation 6 years later. I suppose I could look in my first holy missal behind me, but it was either May 12th or May 15th.
Hmm.
But
Would it have been a Sunday, your communion?
I don't believe so. I think they were on Saturdays.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe it was a Sunday, but I remember the day. I remember taking pictures. I don't remember much of the actual mass. I think it was Father Janiri, and I can't remember if Father Sherman was still there. I know I got my first penance from him.
Mm.
but I think it was Father John Danieri and Father John Del Duca who performed.
It's a good memory, by the way. I'd have to really think back. It might have been Father Nick Rinaldi at St. Joe's.
Could have been
And I
Father Pat, too, at that
could have
time.
been Father Pat Amaville. Yeah, could have been as well. Because it would have been, for me, it would have been, I guess, the early 80s. And I do remember the rows. You came in, all of us, the boys had all their suits on, like Joe said, looking like little gangsters, like your mom said. And the girls all were in white. That was,
Little
and
brides.
there were
Yeah.
you came in 2 rows that way. Very formal, as I recall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I remember when I first moved to Hammonton and we covered the first communion, and the dresses for the girls were so much more formal than what I grew up with. And they were like little miniature wedding gowns, like very fluffy and tiered. And my mother barely could get me to wear my dress for until I greeted all of our guests at our party at the house. So I was like, oh, there's no way she would have died. There would have been wrestling back then for me to get into a dress like that. But I loved it. I think it's so beautiful to see all those little girls and the little boys in their suits.
Oh, no,
Yeah, very special.
we were all excited, boys and girls. We were all excited to dress up. Absolutely.
And you
Yeah.
still like to dress up in a fancy suit.
I do. I very much do. I don't have a pinstripe suit anymore. I should get on that. I haven't had one of those in a long time.
Your birthday's coming up in a couple months, so maybe you can make that happen for yourself.
That's true. Do they still make blue pinstripe suits?
Sure. You
Okay.
can get a pinstripe.
Just go to the Mafia staff store, wherever, that is.
I think you go to Brooks Brothers.
Well, yeah, they'll make anything if you got, if your pockets are deep enough.
It's literally,
Gabe, we are not those
them
people.
Deeper, make them deeper. Literally.
Yeah.
Or you could go to a tailor. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's a lot of places out there.
One of the last things that Pope Francis did was a very generous decision to support the Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Joe, do you want to talk a little bit about that? What happened and what's coming up for the Mount Carmel Festival?
Absolutely. There is no date set for it yet. That has to be coordinated with the office of the bishop. But the Pope did grant a canonical coronation for the statue of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, which is essentially the parish made a petition, and the parish sent a bunch of information about the history of the feast, about the importance to the community. They sent it. They got the approval from the diocese, and it was sent through the Vatican consulate, and it made its way onto the Pope's desk, and he actually had to read and approve the canonical coronation. It's not like there was a whole bunch of papers and he said, yeah, this looks good. This was something that Pope Francis actually had to look through and decide on his own that, yes, this is worthy of Vatican recognition. Like I said, there's no date set yet. So far as I know, they're still working that out. A crown has to be made for the statue, but the hope is that it can be done in time for or before the 16th of July, because you don't want to do it on the 16th of July because there's already so much going on that day anyway. There's something like 4 masses and hundreds of thousands of people, if we're lucky, will be going in and out of town that week. So I think the hope is to be able to do it beforehand if it can all be coordinated.
Yeah, that's going to be really special. And one of the events that the Mount Carmel Society has coming up is a concert. It is a spring music celebration May 17th on the Mount Carmel Society Festival Grounds, 1 Mount Carmel Lane, also known as Tilton Street. It's free admission. Donations are always welcome. The event the gate opens at 5 p.m. And this concert is going to feature Frankie Avalon, Fabian, Tommy Kono. The DJ starts at 5. The Golden Boys, as they're called, start at 7:30 p.m. and there'll be food trucks and beer stands. Should be a fun night.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm all kinds of excited for that. It's Frankie Avalon. Who wouldn't be excited for that? Fabian.
I don't know the other guy that well. I know Fabian and Frankie Avalon better.
Yeah, they used to do this with Bobby Rydell.
Yeah, and then he stepped in when Bobby Rydell passed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is Tony Kono we're talking about.
Yes.
And look, guys, this is a town that loves its nostalgia. particularly of that era, the 50s. And you think about cruising Main Street and how long that's been around. So
Hmm.
this is like a perfect plug-in to kind of get tie in with that in a way. What's
It's
the date of that,
it,
Gina, of the concert, of the event?
I believe I said it was May 17th.
yeah,
So it's
concert's
May
May
17th.
17th, and Cruising Main Street is May 16th, and the rain date is May 17th. So there may be a conflation of events there.
You want to talk
Well,
about
let's put a Blessed Mother in the window and pray for good weather for both days.
but you talk about a Back to the Future weekend. You're going to have all these 50s cars in the middle of town one night, and then you're going to have these guys coming in, Fabian, Frankie Avalon.
It's going
I,
to be Rob Central.
yeah, if you like that era, sure to go into Wildwood. You are going to have a great weekend in Hammonton, New Jersey for all that. So the Mount Carmel guys, could give them a lot of credit. And of course, I always give credit to Cruising Classics Auto Club and Main Street for the event that they're doing. And of course, I always have to tip my hat again to my mother because she's the one running that show for the Cruising Main Street. So
Since
this is great.
1994.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a career in any league, 31 years of doing it. This is a great tie in this event. This is a great concert, great idea by the Our Lady of Mount Carmel Society, and wish them well with that event.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm going to step in and do a really nice thing of a little bit of self promotion, but we're going to give back. So, the Jersey Oddcast, we have some merch because every podcast needs to have merch. So, we have hats and mugs and t shirts, and they're available at jersey-oddcast.printify.me, and I'll drop a link below. And what we decided to do is we're going to donate 100% of the profits of everything we sell on our merch store to the Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Anything sold between now and July 1st, 100% of those profits are going to go straight to supporting the feast. I think that's the best thing we can do to help out. What do you guys think? Is that a good idea?
Look, you guys know my birthday, and my birthday is the 16th of July. And
Yankee Doodle Hammonton.
I am a Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel baby. It's the least we could do to give back to something that's having such a auspicious occasion of 150 years and celebrating that. I think it's just something that we all agreed was something that we wanted to
Yeah.
do our part. What do you
Yeah.
think, Joe?
Yeah, no, it's a worthwhile endeavor for sure. The Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, it's a special thing, and any way that we can help out, I think we should. And I think this is a great way to do it and get everybody involved.
It's almost May, but there is still time to find a great house in Hammonton or in South Jersey to be settled into before the feast week begins. Gabe, who should people call if they're looking to relocate to South Jersey?
Gina, they should call Crowley and Carr Real Estate. If you're looking to buy or sell your home or commercial property in South Jersey, call Phil Carr, owner of Crowley and Carr Real Estate. Crowley and Carr is the best place in town to find the best place in town. Call them at 609 561 0505 or go to Facebook or Instagram.
So, one of the things I do, because I don't really watch a whole heck of a lot of TV, is I tend to browse what's coming up on Netflix and I just watch trailers or videos. I really don't always watch something. I just end up like, it's like flicking channels. I guess you could say it that way.
Hmm.
And I came across Nonna's. And it's this new movie with Vince Vaughn, Lorraine, how do you say her last name?
Rocco, right?
Rocco, Tyler Shire. I think Susan Sarandon has a guest spot in it.
I think so,
Rhea
yeah.
DiMatteo, a bunch of other people. And it's about this guy whose mom dies. And he, to keep her memory alive, he decides to open up a restaurant that's all going to be cooked by different grandmothers, Nonnas. And I had read the story about the real life restaurant in, I want to say, Staten Island,
I think so.
that was built on this concept, and that's called Enoteca Maria.
Yeah.
And I thought, years ago when I read this, I think it was in some New York paper, this is such a cool idea because everyone loves it when your grandmother cooks. I still have dreams about my grandmother Rullo's roasted potatoes. Like, they're the best potatoes I've ever had in my life. My brother makes them, I make them. They're not as good as my grandmother's. Those were the best potatoes ever. So I love this restaurant. And now they've made a movie out of it. I'm like, this is great. It comes out on Netflix right before Mother's Day. Don't you guys miss your grandmother's cooking?
Oh, please. My grandma Weber, my mother's mother,
Okay.
made the absolute best eggplant parmesan I've ever had. I've never had any that's come even close. I can't eat it afterwards. And her cookies were legendary. And my grandma
What kind?
Berenato, her chocolate chip cookies, she used to make ones with peanut butter chips. They were extra. I don't know what this woman did. No, they weren't, because at first, you ever see the Friends episode where Phoebe was talking about, I think it was her grandmother used her friend's recipe and the friend's name was Nestle Tollhausen, and they're like, Phoebe, those are Nestle Tollhouse cookies.
Yeah.
That is not what my grandmother did. I don't know what she did, but they were extraordinary. And then my grandma Bernardo, between her meatballs and her cream puffs, I've never had meatballs that are as good as hers. They could come close. There are a couple places I've had them where they're close. There was actually one time I was in Little Italy and there was a restaurant. I think it was, I don't remember what it was called, but the dish was Nonna spaghetti and meatballs. And that was the closest I ever had. And it almost brought me to tears. It was a religious experience, but it still wasn't as good as my grandmother's. And she's been gone 20 years. My grandma Weber's been gone 35 years, and I can still taste them and I still miss them.
That's fantastic. And I was spoiled. My brothers and I were spoiled. My mom and dad were spoiled because my grandmother and my grandfather owned an Italian restaurant, or as we call them in Hammonton, restaurants. I don't think we even use
No.
Italian, but it's called Chateau Balaz, which is strange because Chateau, right? It's French. But no, and it was on the White Horse Pike. And when they were done with the restaurant, when years later, she would come and cook for us. Can you imagine? Your grandmother shows up at 4 o'clock every day and just starts cooking in your
Oh,
kitchen.
wow.
All of the stuff that was made from scratch in that restaurant.
The little meatballs, Gabe.
The little meatballs that she would roll out in OCD fashion, like a coil to put in the escarole soup, and the veal fromage, which is the flat pounded veal with just, it had gravy and old English cheese. It was like an orange cheese. And the salad that everyone used to rave about at the restaurant, we would get that for dinner. So my mother would cook with her, but I just thought this was the way everyone lived until I got to college and started explaining this to people. They said, no one had a grandmother just come over the house and start cooking every day. So we were spoiled. And it sounds, to a certain degree, you were too. The food that you're talking about sounds delicious as well. So, yeah, this movie sounds fun. So
Yeah.
it's a
May
good
9th.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So watch it with your mom and your Nonna, or in Hamilton, as many people say, mom. Which leads me to the odd poll question of the week. We're doing it early this week, guys.
Ah,
What do you call your
curveball.
grandmother or your maternal figure that is either your mother of your father or the mother of your mother? Is it mom? Is it grandmom? Is it grandma? Granny? For me, it was Grandma Lucy and Grandma California because Grandma California lived obviously in California, and
Nebraska.
that's how we
He lived in
separated her
Weehawken.
out. And she signed everything. Love Grandma California. But Nona and Mom, I had never heard Mom until I moved to Hammonton.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
My mom's pretty popular in
Yeah.
Hamilton. We were grandmom or granny with their name, Granny Ida, my mother's mother. Joe, what do you think?
We were always grandmom, which
Yeah.
I got to tell you, and I'm sure I don't know that Hallmark or Carlton Cards or whomever ever made a grandmom card. It always made finding cards very difficult. Grandmother, grandma, sure, but never grandmom. It's kind of like having a weird name and trying to find a little bicycle license plate when you go to the Statue of Liberty. You're not going to find one unless your name
Yeah.
is Bort.
Right.
My
Strange.
son's name is also Bort. Simpsons for the win. But yeah, no,
Nice job.
we always went with grandmom, and that's what we did.
So let us know what it is, or maybe it's something else. Our nephew Frank, his mother's mother is Miga. We don't know where that came from, but we love it, and we call her Miga Debbie. That's just who she is, and has been for the last almost 24 years. So maybe you have a different name, and it's not Mom or Grandmom or Granny or
Yeah,
Nona.
could be
Let's know.
me. Could be Mimi. Mima is very popular.
Yeah.
There's a whole variety.
If you want to channel your inner Nona, whether you're Joe or me or Gabe, you can learn how to make pasta on Thursday, May 15th at the Hamilton Family Success Center from 4 to 5 p.m. I believe this is a free event. You can sign up on Eventbrite, or you can call the Success Center at 609-567-2900 to register. So you can make a pasta like an Italian nonna. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
not? And it's free.
I
That's
believe so. Usually the Success Center events are
Yeah, and it's what, from 4 to 5 p.m., I think, if I saw that
4 to
correctly?
5 p.m. So yeah, that'll be fun.
nice.
Yeah.
You're not going to make risotto in an hour, but you might be able to make some basic spaghetti.
Maybe you'll make some gnocchi. Who knows?
Fair.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the way to say that, right? We're saying
Gn-
it gnocchi.
Gnocchi. Yeah.
Gnocchi.
Not
My
gnocchi,
favorite.
not ganache, gnocchi.
Ganache.
That's my
And
favorite
there's no
pasta.
X in espresso.
Oh, no. Oh, please. No. And while we're on the subject, cannoli is plural.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Canola.
Yeah. More than one is cannoli.
Yeah. Sometimes you want more than one canola.
That's right. Canola or cannoli.
Take the gun, leave the cannoli, or leave the cannoli, take the cannoli, leave the gun, whatever. You know what I mean?
Leave the gun, take the cannoli.
Yeah, it's always
I
just
think
leave the gun.
We're going to pull your card if you don't get that right.
Yeah, come on now.
some people think that's a movie that's not for Italians. I don't know.
That's depending on who you talk to.
Fair enough. In order to make good pasta or to watch a good movie, you're going to need to have good vision. And Gabe, where should we go if we need glasses?
Hammonton Family Eye Care is the place to go. You should see Hammonton Family Eye Care for routine and medical eye care for all ages, from glasses to contacts to eye exams and more. Visit Hammonton Family Eye Care at Peachtree Plaza, 80 Southward White Horse Pike in Hammonton. Call 609-567-7479 or go to hammontonfamilyeyecare.com.
So I was in Peachtree Plaza the other day getting a couple of errands done, and I noticed a couple of new signs are up. One being for the UPS store, and one being for Ivy Rehab, another physical therapy place. Because Hammonton, we don't have enough physical therapy, but the more the merrier. So one of my friends said they were going to personally keep the UPS store in business because they return a lot of items to Amazon and the like. I was like, okay, great. Guess you're coming for you. But I'm just so happy to see that plaza now filled.
Yeah, there's a great feeling there because if we all can remember back far enough when there were two anchors on that plaza, Acme and Jamesway, and they
Mhm.
both went out of business, and it really just gutted that plaza, which was just then called the Jamesway Plaza.
Yeah.
Now you turn around, fast forward 20 years, ShopRite comes in, Advanced Auto Parts, some of these other things, Joe Canals, and then all the other stores. My favorite stories though are the ones like look at Brothers. Brothers Pizza has
Oh,
been there through thick and thin,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
that's a real testament to their survivor status. But I think it's
And to
great
their
to see it
pizza.
back. The food that's it draws people. But there was a time I sat there with Giorgio Scottavetta, and he said to me, "What am I going to do here? It's an empty center." And we talked about how things could turn around, and what you just said, the whole thing is now filled. So
It's a
that's
good
that's
feeling.
great. It's a
And,
good feeling.
yeah, okay, by all standard economic definitions, yes, Acme and Jamesway, they were the anchor stores, but Brothers weathered every single storm for the last 40 God knows how many years.
Yeah,
I'd
Yep.
call them the anchor at that
Yeah. At
plaza.
this point, I think
Yeah,
now they are the anchor, or at least the last man standing, or the longest man standing. It's just
yeah,
amazing to have that kind of longevity. It's incredible for any business.
yeah,
For any business. So I think they've been in business. I'm going to say since the 70s. That's
yeah,
what I'm going to say.
yeah. It's been 45, I think, give or take, 45 years.
Yeah, and credit to Rusty and Lynn Luca. Local ownership makes a difference, and they definitely made a difference in that center and turned it around for sure.
No, it's exciting to see, and I look forward to the physical therapy opening and the UPS store opening. And if you Google both and you go to the home pages for those companies, it says the Hammonton location is coming soon. So that is a very positive note for us. In other news, the Winslow Township Police Department announced the Junior Police Academy. It's going to be holding its annual week-long Junior Police Academy from July 14th to July 18th. Yes, that is the feast week in Hammonton. The purpose of the Junior Police Academy is to provide young citizens with an introduction to law enforcement. So this is open up to Winslow Township residents ages 11 to 14 years old at the time of the academy class starting. You have to have a sponsor like a high school principal, a guidance counselor, law enforcement agency, a community representative, coach, something like that. And there's a few other requirements. There is no cost for this. The applications are available online and they're due this Friday, May 2nd at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
For more information about the Junior Police Academy, call 609 567 0700, extension 1196, or extension 1215. What do you guys think?
Oh, it's a great idea. And I'm just joking here, but you know that it's in Winslow because no Hammonton Police Department official, chief, or whomever would ever schedule that the week of the Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. But but I do think that it's a great idea. One town over
Yeah.
to get over there to the Winslow Township. It's excellent.
Yeah, I think it's a neat idea. Anytime you can get young kids interested in the ins and outs of law enforcement as opposed to just whatever they see on television, I think this is a great program. And did I read it right? Is it limited to 30 participants?
Yeah, it's a limited number of students or young officers that they can have. I believe it is 30, which is a lot of teenagers.
It
to
is.
have.
It absolutely is.
And it's just a way to get people to interact in the community, to show them what the Winslow Township Police Department does, which is a larger police department because Winslow is physically larger than us.
And more
So,
population.
yeah.
Yeah,
So they'll see more, there'll be physical fitness, there'll be some items that have to do like with more educational sides of it, and they're going to see how a police department operates inside and out. And there's something special about that because maybe that is a way that someone wants to go in their life. I mean, they're trying to figure out you're 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. You have no idea what you want to be. This is a way to check it out and see if it's something you're interested in. And it helps build relationships within the community.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Speaking of community, the Hammonton Community Garden is getting ready for its 10th anniversary. The community garden was established in 2015 with the help of the town of Hammonton, Atlanticare, the ACUA, and other generous donors and many volunteers. Where's the community garden, you may ask? It's at 11th and Washington Streets, right near the New Jersey Transit train station. There are still some plots available for 2025. The seasonal bed fee is $20 per season, plus a $20 deposit, which will be refunded upon a successful cleanup of the garden bed by the end of the season. Each bed is 12 feet long by 4 feet wide, and there is water on site. And there's workshops, and you can meet with other fellow gardeners and share tips and tricks. And while this is not for me and or any of us, because we've discussed that we are not the best at growing things,
For real.
Yeah.
this was
I,
very special when it opened.
it's special now. 10 years is, again, a long run. I'm sure there were people who thought, is this really going to last?
Yes.
Obviously, it's lasted a decade. So there must be some great interest by our actual green thumbs out there who know what they're doing. And I just, it continues to be a nice thing. When I drive by that area, I think to myself, it's certainly better than just another empty lot. They're doing something that means a lot to the people who garden there.
And a 12 by 4 bed, that's a decent sized bed. And when you consider how many people you have living in apartments in Hammonton, or
Yeah.
who the soil at home, if they own a home or rent a home, may not be conducive to growing vegetables, having or fruits, having a place where you can grow, where you can go specifically for that, it's not a resource that a lot of municipalities have.
Oh, I agree with you. And I love the fact that we turned that property into this compared to 20 years ago when they were thinking about putting town hall there. I
Hmm.
think this is a much better use and a better fit considering its location.
Yeah.
And
I'll say,
there's
for sure.
always somebody out there in the spring and summer. There's always
Yeah.
someone working in their space, harvesting what they've grown, and They have some cool talks. I think they've had some stuff on good garden bugs and what to plant when, and it's very community minded.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing you hear repeatedly, a theme running through this Jersey Oddcast, it's the theme of community. And all of these things that we talk about, free concerts and cruising Main Street and community gardens, we should never take it for granted because there's a lot of places that are not, they may be a municipality, but they're not a community. And Hammonton, I think, is a true community where people come together publicly. A lot, a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you try and explain this to someone not from the area who is unfamiliar with Hammonton in general, say somebody out of state, and you're like, "Oh yeah, we did this and we did this," and they stop. They look at you because apparently these things aren't done everywhere, and we're just like, "Oh yeah, it's the 150 of this of this. Oh yeah, no, we've been doing this for 40 years. Yeah, no, we've got free garden beds for whoever wants them." Like, where do you
Yeah,
live?
yeah. Where is
Hammonton.
this?
That's where we
Hammonton.
live.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And listen, there are lonely people and hungry people everywhere. But in Hamilton, I always say that there's less of a chance of that happening because someone's going to reach out, somewhere you're going to be connected somehow to somebody, and we try to take care of each other. And that's what a community is, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, will nourish your soul. But if you need to nourish your body, I suggest you head over to Bagley Annie's Market. Gabe?
Gina, at Bagley Annie's Market, they always say we treat our customers like family. With a variety of custom cut meats, farm fresh produce, delicious cheeses, a full deli, and more. Bagley Annie's Market has something for everyone. They are famous for their wide variety of authentic Italian specialty products. Try their Italian bread and rolls, prepared foods, and homemade pasta. Follow their social media for weekly loyalty reward promos. Bagley Annie's Market is located at 417 12th Street in Hammonton. Call 609 561 0693 or visit Facebook and Instagram for more information.
Thanks, Gabe. So I was catching up on some news and flipping through some magazines and online. I came across an article from Travel and Leisure editors that stated one of the top 50 best places to retire in the United States in 2025. The place where you should spend your golden years is Vineland, New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Now, Vineland is a sister city, in my opinion, to Hammonton. We have similar founders. The city of 61,126 is described as a culturally diverse community filled with wonderful, giving people, a friendly business environment, and a cost of living well below the state average, according to its website. And this was on Travel and Leisure. So I was like, did they come to Hammonton? Or is something Violence got? Maybe it's because they have a hospital system. I don't know. But I was like, this is cool. Because if it's that close to us, then Hammonton has to be there too. Maybe Violence in the top 50, we're in the top 200. I don't know.
That's a pretty high distinction for Vineland, New Jersey.
I'm
And
excited for them. They should really market
congratulations.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations to them. I think, I'm sure at first people might raise an eyebrow, but think about it. If you want to retire somewhere, cost of living is a factor. And like you just said, a hospital,
3
you know,
hospitals and
right,
248 healthcare organizations serve its residents, according to
right.
Travel and Leisure.
They have a downtown.
They do.
They have a lot of major stores. They have
Mhm.
the Cumberland Mall in Vineland. They have a lot of things, and it's pretty wide open.
Oh yeah.
I think Vineland remains the largest city in New Jersey by area.
I believe you are correct. It is.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wide open.
Do they
Is
still
it-
have their
is
own
it-
power company too?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a municipal utility.
Yeah. And is it still the auxiliary capital in case something happens to Trenton? Because it used to be.
I bet.
Really?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That. That's
Vineland
interesting.
it may still be, but Vineland used to be the state's auxiliary capital.
Nice.
I didn't
So
know
there
we
you go.
had such a thing. I've never even heard of that.
Look at that. So you can retire there and become an assemblyman if need be. If it happens that it has to move, if something terrible happens to Trenton.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's news to me, by the way. I didn't know about the auxiliary
Never even
capital
heard of that.
function. But that is interesting. And that is odd. I think I'm going to call odd on that one. That why
let
why
let me-
Vineland?
Let me qualify that by saying I did hear that from my mother, who loved
Oh,
Vineland very much, and she may have been pulling my leg at some point, and
it's
I've been
possible.
passing it off as fact for the last 30 years.
We're gonna
But
try
I'm
and
almost
look
positive.
that up. We're gonna try and look
Yeah.
that up during the broadcast here,
Uh,
during the Oddcast, if we can find something that corroborates that story. And maybe it does. I just, why would you even need an auxiliary capital?
Well,
God,
in case something happens to the actual capital.
I gotcha.
I'm
My
surprised
Yes.
goodness.
it's not Hohokus or somewhere up north or Livingston.
Yeah.
Vineland. Yeah.
It's the largest by acreage city in the state.
Okay.
It's the home of Welch's, I believe. Grape juice started there, did it not?
Yeah.
Burberry had a factory there for a while.
Yeah.
Progresso was there a long time.
Progressive was there for a very long time. Back
And
in
now
the
you can,
and it was in the 1800s, it was a bastion of progressivism. When you talk about the suffragette movement, Frederick Douglass spoke there on more than one occasion. It was big
well,
in
how
its
about the
day.
co-op? You're an agricultural guy. Hammonton and
Oh
Vineland had
Lord, yeah.
co-ops. Cooperatives were definitely considered socialist. I mean, by anything you want to go by, but and it was progressive. But the other thing is to retire there. Are there a lot of retirement facilities? Does it say that or
I don't know, Gabe, but we're getting
residences?
close in age. Maybe we should take a ride out there.
No, yeah. Listen, it is a sister city in our view. Charles Landis, there's Landis Avenue there named for him. He was a founder along with Judge Burns of Hammonton. Interestingly, there is no Landis Avenue in Hammonton,
No.
even though there's one in Sea City and in Vineland.
That partnership did end rather
Abruptly.
unkindly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
In other great news, one of Gabe's classmates was named the new head wrestling coach at St. Joseph Academy. Craig Muckle
Way
was
to go,
named
Muck.
yeah. Craig, congratulations, Craig. Was named the new head wrestling coach last week. A press release was issued. Craig went to Hammonton High School, graduated in 1991. He was then in the military. When in at Hammonton, he was involved in multiple sports, including football, wrestling, and baseball. So he has had a lifetime love of sports and wrestling. And it's just so cool to see someone I know being named like the new head coach. Congratulations, Craig.
They will not lack for enthusiasm with a coach like Craig Muckle. It's exciting for our group of friends who've known him his whole life to see him doing this because we know those kids, those students, student athletes are going to have somebody who's going to be there for them every day. And I think he'll make the most of this opportunity. Craig will. So we give him a big, a ton of credit for getting involved with St. Joe Academy. Although we got to give him a little bit of a razz because most of us are all Hammonton High School graduates. It's still that Hammonton St. Joe thing, but we're proud of him and very proud to see this news come across and that he's going to be the next head wrestling coach there.
Gabe, if any of our listeners are looking for insurance, who should they call?
Gina, they should call Diversified Insurance. In fact, see Diversified Insurance for all your commercial and personal insurance needs. They are a value added firm. They provide unsurpassed service, consult with you to determine your needs, and offer you a choice of insurance plans and programs. They are a value hunter who can find the best combination of coverage, service, and price. Contact them today at 609 567 7771 or visit their website at diversifiedinsuranceofnj.com.
Every so often, the Atlantic County Animal Shelter will waive the fees to adopt a pet. And you all know that I love our dog, Fenway. She's such a gift. And I think everybody should have a pet dog. I really do. If your residence allows it and you have the time for it. So for May, the Atlantic County Animal Shelter has announced waived fee weekends. The $110 adoption fee for dogs weighing more than 25 pounds will be waived each Saturday and Sunday, May 3rd through May 31st. All pets adopted from the shelter receive mandatory sterilization, age-appropriate vaccinations, diagnostic testing, a microchip, and free veterinary consultation. Canines adopted from the shelter are also provided free obedience classes. The shelter is located on Old Turnpike Road in Pleasantville and is open to the public 1 to 4 p.m. each day. Appointments are not needed. So if you're thinking about getting a dog, now is the time.
I think this is wonderful. I really
I
do.
know.
Especially free obedience training. Obedience training can be expensive.
Yeah,
Our
for
dog
sure.
growing up failed. She was asked to leave the class. She pooped on the mats. We had to leave. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's my
Well,
super shame.
school's not for everybody, and that's fine.
No, it was not for Jamie. We got her in front of a Jamesway. They were giving away puppies one time.
That doesn't sound shady. Were they in a van?
Yeah, was James White doing this? Or
In front of our Jamesway where we live. We didn't even live there yet. And my dad, who loved every animal, we were going into Jamesway to get something and they were giving away puppies and my dad could not resist. Now we still lived in the city at this time. We were still living in New York City. And here's this big dude and they have little tiny baby puppies, black puppies. Yeah, I'll take one. And my mom was like, "What are we doing with this puppy, Bob?" He's, "We'll figure it out." And he gave one of our friends this brand new 8-week-old puppy to watch for a month or so until we moved out of the city into our house.
that's some friend.
Yeah,
My dad was charming.
that's quite a gamble because I don't know if I'd have given the puppy back at the end of that time period. No, it's
Like,
mine now.
yeah, at that point, it's mine.
It was a crazy litter. All the litter mates were nuts. Ours was the most normal, but she even jumped through a glass door to go kiss the UPS man one time. She was like
Aw,
10, maybe 12.
doggy.
Her one sister chased cars. That did not end well. It was a weird breed. But anyway, back to the Atlantic County shelter. Please adopt a dog. Let's thin out the shelters. There's no cost to you. You get all kinds of services free. And like Joe said, obedience training. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
and every animal that I've had has been adopted. I think there are so many wonderful animals in the shelters that are overlooked because people want this specific breed or they want a purebred this or that. These animals need a home and you can get one for free. If your housing allows it and your finances allow, go get one.
I don't have much to add from the animal standpoint, but Jamie, the dog Jamie, then was named after James Way. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So that makes two James Way references in the same podcast. And I'm going to call that's the only podcast in the world that is going to have two James Way references.
And two
in it.
different Jamesways.
I know, not even in the
Independent.
same town.
Yeah.
Two separate James Ways.
Yeah.
I had to note that.
I will say this, and when I got the notice from my parents that they had to say goodbye to our dog Jamie, and I was working for the paper at the time, I lost my mind. Like I was bawling, and Gabe's like, "Why do your parents call you to give you such bad news?" I'm like, they have to. It's like our family dog. But she was, I don't know, 17 years old, 15, 17 years old, somewhere in there when she passed.
What kind of
Just
dog is she?
crazy. She was a lab beagle and a couple of things mix.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's especially if you've got lab blood. Mutts tend to live longer in general, but if she was on the larger side, 17's a good run.
Yeah, we were really lucky to have her, and she was a great dog as a kid. And I mean, we had 2 cats, and she let the cats just beat up on her. Like she knew her place was she was the lowest person on the totem pole, but the most loved. So
Hmm.
anyway, Joe, your big holiday is coming up.
My big holiday is coming up. You've got to
May the
narrow that
4th.
down. Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm like, we're not anywhere near Halloween. Yes, May the 4th.
Your big spring holiday.
That's much better. Yes, you notice I have my lunchbox up for the occasion.
Nerd.
May the 4th has been designated as Star Wars Day because May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
So,
Clever.
yeah. And this year is the 20th anniversary of the release of Revenge of the Sith, which I believe has been making its way back into theaters.
I saw that.
That's amazing to me. 20 years.
20 years since the prequel trilogy ended, and that was the last new Star Wars film.
I know over the years people have done theme weddings on May the 4th. You hear about Wizard of Oz weddings, but they're out there with the lightsabers and people are
That's
dressed
so
as
cool.
stormtroopers. They do the whole thing. I've seen this, seen it
Yeah.
online and everything. You've seen this, right?
Yeah.
People,
Oh,
it's not just for conventions.
no, and it's cool too because sometimes it's the bride and groom who suddenly will just go into a lightsaber duel, or sometimes it's the daddy-daughter dance, and then suddenly, like whatever they're listening to turns into the Imperial March. Dad pulls out a lightsaber, goes after the groom. It's a whole thing.
Yeah,
There's so much to unpack there.
I think it's a certain slice of humanity
Okay,
that
so
does it.
Joe, when did the first episode come out? Episode 1.
Oh, episode 1 came out in 1999. If you mean the first Star Wars movie, that was
No, I mean
episode
the
4.
first episode 1. I
Okay.
know when episode 4
Okay,
came out.
all right.
Okay.
Okay. So do you guys remember what happened at work? Because Joe, were you still with us back then? Were you still at the paper with us in '99?
Oh, absolutely it was. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, I covered it for it.
one of
Yeah.
our colleagues comes to me and he says, "Gina, I need off." I'm like, "What's going on?" I want to buy tickets to see Star Wars. And I need to take a day off because I want to stand in line to get the tickets. And I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna stand in line?" I'm like, "How about I make you a deal? I will not ding your day off from your PTO balance if you get Gabe and I tickets, and I think for Gabe's brothers or something like that. And we'll even pay for your tickets
I think
if
we
you stand in line for
Yeah,
us."
we expanded that, didn't we? I think we took everybody. Didn't take
Later
every-
episode we did. For this one,
Yeah.
no, I don't
This
think
one
so.
it was just us. We did movie days though,
At the paper
where
later on,
we
yeah.
would just take the whole. You know what? We're all taking off.
But
Let's
for that
go.
first Star Wars, he was like, "I need to take off." I'm like, "I will grant you this day, but you need to do me a favor."
Yeah,
And
that
it was
was good.
great. So we didn't have to stand in line and we got to see the movie.
Yeah, that was nice. I remember you asking me like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Seems like a great idea." If we get to see the movie,
Yeah.
yeah, that was
So
pretty cool.
I love Star Wars. I love everything about it from episode 4, which is obviously the first one we've all saw, all the way through. And some of them are not my favorite, but they're all amazing in their own special way. And so May the 4th, all the way about it. Let's have fun next Sunday. It's communion, it's May crowning, and Star Wars Day.
Yeah. May the 4th be with you.
Wait a minute. It's like speaking two languages at once.
There is a lot happening. Gabe, can you give us a little bit of a rundown of what's happening in the community calendar?
I sure can. And the community calendar was brought to all the oddballs out there by Rocco's Townhouse. Rocco's Townhouse prides themselves on being a spot where everyone can meet and eat delicious appetizers, entrees, burgers, and more, along with a full bar and plenty of craft beers on tap. Remember, everyone meets at the Townhouse, 21 North 3rd Street in Hammonton. Call them at 609 561 9384 or visit roccostownhouse.com. And now, the Rocco's Townhouse community calendar. After the fun at Stella Farms annual Strawberry Festival, head to Rocco's Townhouse for dinner. The Strawberry Festival will be held Saturday, May 10th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Celebrate kicking off the growing season. There will be live music, food and alcohol, pony rides, a petting zoo, tractor rides, and other fun activities for children. Also of note, on Sunday, May 4th, the Puerto Rican Civic Association will be hosting an event celebrating mothers. The special event begins at 3 p.m. at the clubhouse. Cost is $18 per person. Mothers are free. Call Edwin Negroni at 609-226-9300 for more information. Menino's Cannoli Express will be hosting a Mother's Day Market pop-up on May 8th. Shop for mom with amazing vendors and enjoy complimentary light refreshments. The 5th annual Hammonton Arts and Music Festival, a celebration of art, music, and film, is all set for May 3rd from 2 to 7 p.m. in downtown Hammonton, bringing together artists, musicians, and filmmakers for an unforgettable experience in our vibrant community. More information on all events can be found online.
And then that brings us to Monday, May 5th, which is Cinco de Mayo, which is not the biggest holiday from what I understand in Mexico, but for Americans, We celebrate it pretty big with some nice cold margaritas, some tacos, and some fun. What do you guys think? Are you guys going to celebrate?
With tacos, yes. Margaritas, not a fan. Not a huge fan of tequila. Every single time when I was younger and we would invite Jose Cuervo to a party, things usually got pretty unfortunate. So, yeah, he and I, we don't hang out anymore.
You're talking about the booze, though, right? Not some guy named.
Yeah, not actually Jose Cuervo, like
Yeah,
walking to the door. No, I mean the booze, yes. Yeah.
yeah,
He's not
yeah.
allowed.
I might have a margarita, but I'm definitely more focused on the food, fajitas or something like that. I'll definitely. I like to on Cinco de Mayo have something that is actually Mexican food, and yeah, I'll get it at one of our fabulous Mexican restaurants in Hammonton.
Yeah,
We are
and
blessed with many.
we
Hmm.
are a Fiesta Mexicana, which was one of the first ones in town on 12th Street. They're having music with Rosita from 5 to 8 p.m. on Cinco de Mayo. And during the plague, Cinco de Mayo was a Tuesday in, I believe, 2020. And we were trying to support all the local restaurants. So Gabe gets tacos for everybody who was working the office that day and margaritas because you could do takeout alcohol at that time.
Mhm.
It had been several months since I had last drank when we did that. All I remember is having this margarita, was just staring at my computer screen that afternoon, having no idea what was on the screen. I was just
Yeah,
like, no
every
idea.
everyone else held the alcohol just fine. I remember,
No, I was in
but you were a mess. And by the
I'm
way,
not a day drinker.
no, and I'll cite one more time. There was no plague. Not,
I'm
not a
just calling
plague.
back to last week.
I know, a little callback. I'll call back too.
It's a
But no, it was
colloquialism.
well. I distinctly remember though. It was just the weirdest thing. They would give you like little tiny airplane bottles of tequila, right?
Yeah,
And you can walk out the door with it. This was not usual, but
no, it was nice.
oh yeah, accommodations were made.
Salad days. Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, good times, good times.
So I do hope to have a nice icy cold margarita on the rocks, not frozen, not in a high glass. I like it on the rocks. Maybe a blueberry one, maybe not. Just bring me the margaritas and maybe some tacos.
Gina, I can talk to you a little bit about Master Wire Fence. That's what we're going to do because Master Wire Fence, for more than 40 years, Master Wire Manufacturing Fence Company has been providing the South Jersey and tri state area with residential and commercial fence supplies and services. Whether you're looking for quality products to do it yourself, or are in need of a trustworthy fencing company to install your fence, they've got you covered. Master Wire Manufacturing Fence Company provides the highest quality products and customer service to each and every person who walks through their doors or gives them a call. Contact Masterwire at 609 567 1616 or visit their website at masterwirefence.net.
So did you see that Hamilton's royal figure had spoken last week? He made his grand announcement.
It was the king.
This is the king.
This is the king, yes.
I
Royal
did see
Crown
that.
Royal Crown opened last Saturday and is now open for the season. Believe they've been in business for 72 years, I want to say. So half as long as the Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
Okay.
And it's really
That's a career. That's a career. 20 years longer than brothers, at
yeah.
least.
And so I will just say that when Royal Crown opens, you know that the warm weather is here to stay because they are not committing to being open until it is time. And I just love seeing his videos, cracks me up, and I'm like, okay, our king has spoken.
When you say the king, you mean, who do you mean?
Graciano.
Yeah, that's right.
Louis.
And look, we all love Royal Crown. People know Royal Crown from all around the area, and it's not just a Hamilton thing, although it is very much a Hamilton thing, but it's also a Jersey thing, a Pennsylvania thing, maybe a Delaware thing. People come from all over to go to
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah.
shore, and they pass by there and they love it. So head on out to Royal Crown. It's time again.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing there, Joe?
Oh,
Is it a cheesesteak or is it an ice cream?
Yeah, savory
Yes,
or sweet.
I'm gonna go with yes. I often default to a strawberry sundae with the
Really?
vanilla soft serve. Yeah,
I would never have guessed that for you.
really. Yeah, no, I love those. That's my go-to. A nice in a cup, nice vanilla soft serve. The cheesesteaks they're great. I look forward to them every year. But if I just want a little snack, that's usually what I go with, a nice strawberry sundae. And it's funny too because over the years I've brought people like, hey, there's an ice cream parlor in town. Let's go. And so we go to Royal Crown and they're like, oh, you meant like an actual ice cream parlor. I didn't know they still made places like
Yeah.
this. I'm like, they don't make them like this anymore. This has been there since they used to make them. It's been here forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can get a full meal, like you said about the cheesesteaks, which are awesome. And the ice cream, it goes without saying, is fantastic.
That's a
Good luck in the next, what, the latest season number? I'm thinking 72. I think it's been
It
since
says happy
53.
72nd anniversary on their website.
So there you go, 72nd anniversary. So that's amazing.
A little bit down the pike in the other direction would be Fire Company number 2, Elvins Hall. They will be the site of the Hammonton Education Foundation's second annual Ladies' Night, Friday, May
Oh, yes,
16th.
it's
This is a
ladies' night.
bingo. So, a night of designer handbags, great raffle baskets, and door prizes. So, bring your own beverages and snacks. Come to play. Tickets are $35 each, and you can get them online or find Amy Hagan, who is in charge of this event for the Education Foundation. I went last year. I won absolutely nothing. 0 prizes were won by me, but I had a great time. Kevin Friel, our Hamilton Police Chief, also president of the Ed Foundation, he was calling all the numbers. He made it a lot of fun. It's a good time, even if you lose and win absolutely nothing.
Oh, what a night.
Pretty much. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's all I got.
It is the same night as cruising, so you can drop people off downtown and go play some bingo, then pick them up at the end, or what have you. But I think they're different audiences, and it'll be okay.
Busy weekend in town.
Yeah,
Can't
because
beat
then the
that.
concert's the next night. You're right.
Yeah, busy month in
Yeah,
town.
a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
So let's keep that going. It gives us something to talk about. Speaking of something to talk about, I think it's a good time to talk about Demiglio Septic and Quality Sanitation, who are here for a variety of services, including septic pump out, grease trap service, high pressure jetting, portable toilets, and more. Call 609 561 3597 or go to demiglioseptic.com for Demiglio Septic or call 609 561 4666 for quality sanitation. Experience the Demiglio difference, a promise of superior service, quality, and reliability.
Hamilton's neighbor, Buena, is going to be hosting its third annual Spring Festival, Kennedy and Arbor, Landisville, Saturday, May 3rd from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Admission for adults, I believe, is $1, and kids are free. This will feature crafters, artisans, antiques, flowers, and plants, and there'll be music, auction, raffle, a petting zoo, amusements, all kinds of things. I believe some of the funds raised at this event benefit the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. Again, it's just another way to get outside, enjoy gorgeous weather, and celebrate living in South Jersey.
Yeah, and it looks like there's also going to be quite a food truck lineup as well. So there's going to be plenty to eat, which
That's why
you,
Joe goes.
yeah, I was going to say you get me food and a petting zoo, and as
Yeah,
long,
you're there.
long as my schedule allows, yeah.
Just it sounds like a nice afternoon for Joe and for everybody else. So
And I
that's
don't think
good.
it's 20 minutes from Hammonton, so it's a
Yeah,
good location.
Yeah,
If you're maybe on your way to Vineland to check out retiring there, stop by the Spring Festival.
exactly.
Yeah. There's going to be arts and crafts with Miss Gina. This is a mommy and me art class for toddlers. This is going to be Wednesdays in May and June. Cost is $10. This is in conjunction with the Hammonton Arts Center, 10 South 2nd Street. A Miss Gina is hosting it, not me, because I don't have the patience or the talent. But again, this is another thing to do with your
That's
small
fair.
children. It's artistic, it's different. Another cool thing about Hamilton that makes us a community and not just a place to live. And that's the difference.
yeah, yeah. It should be a good time.
Yeah, and again, we promote the arts. Everything ties back to everything else. When you think about the arts festival that's coming up downtown, and now there's some things to do here for art. Just want to keep hitting a lot of these same buttons because I think it used to be you'd have a little less, a lot less for young people to do. And now it's just, I think the town has expanded the offerings so much. What do you think, Joe? It's different than we were when we
Oh,
were young.
no, I agree with you on that 100%. And I'm sorry, my mind had started to wander because, Gina, you said that you don't have the patience for such a class and you're not artistically inclined. And I started to think back to when we had some sort of team building thing where we all went and we painted the same picture. And
Right, right,
I
right.
think I would pay money to attend a class that you teach.
Yeah.
Lord knows what kind of Dali-esque hellscape I'd end up with on the canvas, but it would be worth it for the entertainment value alone.
That night was worth it for the entertainment value alone. I mean, think of that collection of individuals attempting to do what amounted to be paint by the numbers
Yep.
without any numbers. Yeah, like
Look, I was traumatized early in my childhood, and I'm saying this because I know my mother doesn't listen to this podcast. But
safe.
so when we were little, and I mean, I was little, and we would color. My mother would do one side of the coloring book, and I would do the other page. So she would take like the left page, and I would take the right page. And her side would be beautifully shaded and so perfect. And she would outline, and she had the patience, and she'd be like, "Look how nice mine looks." And then mine, I don't know. I don't know. Did the Crayola box just explode on there? And I
No,
love to color, but I was horrible at it.
you're
How
saying
how old were you? Had you even
5?
developed fine motor
5.
skills yet?
Yeah, I think you're too hard on yourself for
Yeah.
that.
It's been like 100 years since then. I haven't given up on that
Well,
memory. That
well,
memory still lives here.
100 years since then, you still don't color within the lines. We know that,
No.
so that hasn't changed. But I think you got to give yourself a break. You were 5 years old. I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, darn it, do it right.
Yeah, what are you going to do? That was the message. But on a computer, I'm fine. If you want me to do something on your computer, just give me an application, give me Canva, give me Photoshop. I'll be fine. We'll make it
Okay.
work.
All right.
Okay.
You know your strengths.
I do, and it's not writing. My father also used to get upset with my brother and I because we have chicken scratch for penmanship, to be put it nicely, and he always said he should have sent us to Catholic school and not public school. And I said, you also should not have bought us a computer in the early 80s, and all we learned how to do was type,
Oh,
So,
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I can read cursive unlike a whole generation of students
Okay.
because they were not taught it. So,
To which they would say what we used to say about algebra. Why do I have to read cursive? What's the point?
fair
Yeah.
enough.
But you
I
know
mean,
what? We all learned that we need algebra and we learned that we need cursive. So what's the point? You need it. You never know when you're going to need it.
Look, you never
That's
know
why.
when you're going to want to read the Declaration of Independence. That's in cursive.
Oh, yeah. The Declaration, the
yeah.
Constitution, all of the
I
important
mean,
documents are written in script. And
you
if,
mean in the original one? They're also printed in regular font,
but
Times
here's,
But
New Roman.
yeah,
when
but the
Jefferson wrote it,
translator, yeah, the
Yeah,
translator is the traitor. And if you
yeah.
don't know how to read the original documents, eventually you're just relying on whatever somebody who typed it out said. And who knows what they may change because we can't read the originals anymore.
so if
That
we think
wacky
back to our
second S is really hard. What is it? It
the
looks like a
Fs.
big. It looks like a big F.
Yeah, yeah, the S that looks like the F. Lord knows why they did that.
So if we
But
think about our founding
Confusing.
fathers, who is your favorite? Who, when
oh,
we're talking about writing the Declaration of Independence, and we will talk more people because our favorite musical will be a big topic in late June and early July.
vote yes. Sorry.
It's
Yes,
just doing a
exactly.
little. That's a 1776 reference for the people who don't get it.
Yes,
Um,
Richard Curcio is listening, and he gets it, Gabe.
I was in that play. The look it.
So who's your
Uh,
favorite, Joe? Pick one.
yeah, go ahead, pick one. Pick a
I'd have
founding
to go
father.
with either Adams or Franklin.
Gabriel?
I'll go with Franklin for sure. A newspaper publisher, give me a break.
I have a crush on Franklin. He was a total rogue. I love that. A little
That's
bit
being
gouty in the
polite.
leg. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes, and as someone who suffers from that too, I can relate to Franklin that way as well. But no, Franklin looms large as a non-president, right?
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
here you have, like, you think about it.
John Adams,
Uh,
president. Thomas Jefferson, president.
Hmm.
Washington president,
President.
but the guy had the ability to tell his own story better than all three of them combined, and
No
so that's
doubt.
why he wound up on the $100 bill, as far as I'm concerned.
Which makes it so interesting to me, and this is our odds and ends, or odd weird news about New Jersey, is that his son was the last royal governor of New Jersey.
That is
Hmm.
William
correct.
Franklin, born around 1730, was the last governor of New Jersey, and he was appointed in September of 1762. In January 1776, a dispatch from Franklin to British intelligence was intercepted by rebel Colonel William Alexander. And then Franklin, this is Governor Franklin, was taken into custody and then released.
Yep.
And he was ultimately imprisoned, and then he went back to Britain, or he went to Britain, and he eventually died there. And he and Ben Franklin were estranged until Ben Franklin's death. And he even left his son here, William Temple Franklin, when he went to Britain.
Oh, and
So
some of the dispatches about the two of them, the contemporary letters, like the father said this, oh, my father clearly hasn't taken his medication, so don't listen
Yeah,
to anything that he said. Oh, did
yeah,
my son say this? He was born out of wedlock, so he doesn't count.
yeah,
They were vicious to one
yeah.
another. It's entertaining to read now.
18th century vicious.
Was vicious, vicious. Still, there was no love lost between the two of them at all.
Not at all.
And you
I
look back
believe
at history. I was
I
going to,
believe the father rejoiced when the son was arrested, didn't he?
yeah, they
According to the
basically,
17 movie, yes, but that's a
yeah.
movie.
Look, I would say to you, like, they were obviously diametrically opposed politically. But in addition to that, I just think there was a big rift familially with the two of them, and it was never sewed up, and that caused a chain of events that never ended. Like you said, until his death, he didn't really get
They
along
were
well.
estranged.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it can happen. See that?
Yeah. Joe, we start to look ahead towards the weekend, and what is the weather going to be like for the rest of the week?
Since you asked, Gina, it sounds like it's time for the Oddcast Forecast,
It
according to the
is.
app on my smartphone, and sponsored by Ben Castone Landscaping. Call Ben Castone for all your landscaping needs at 609 561 3452. They're here to keep your yard looking great no matter what the season. And if we take a look, Wednesday, it's going to be partly sunny to mostly clear with a high of 84 and a low of 55. Temperatures are going to dip a little bit on Thursday. We're still looking at mostly sunny, high of 73 and a low of 60. And right now we're looking at about a 30% chance of rain and thunderstorms on Friday with a high of 84 and a low of 61.
That's awesome. Thanks, Joe. And if people are looking to get in touch with us, where can they find the Jersey Oddcast, Joe?
For more information or for sponsorship opportunities, they can find us on Facebook or Instagram. They can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or iHeartRadio. They can email us at jerseyoddcast@gmail.com or call us at 609 444 6178.
This has been a great addition. We thank you for listening. So stay strong, stay proud, stay odd. We'll see you next time, oddballs.
Take care.
See ya.